Today we're going to talk about what might just be the single most impactful day in the entire history of Islam. We're talking about a pivotal 24 hours that didn't just shape a religion, but completely changed the course of world history. Let's dive right in. To really get a sense of how huge this event was, just look at this. Before this one day, Islam was this small, vulnerable faith, basically just a handful of followers in Makkah who were constantly under threat. After this day, well, within just a few years, it became the bedrock of an empire that stretched across 3 continents, a brand new global superpower. So the big question is, what was it? What on earth happened on that one single day that could set off such a massive, world-altering chain reaction? Well, it all kicks off with this incredibly desperate situation back in Makkah. Things had gotten so bad that it had truly become the point of no return for the Prophet Muhammad and his followers. Okay, so for 12 long years, the Prophet had been preaching his message in Mecca, but only a small group of people had accepted it, and they were facing hostility that was just getting worse and worse. The real crisis hit when his uncle and protector Abu Talib died. See, in Mecca's tribal society, that kind of protection was everything. Without it, the Prophet was completely exposed. Just when things were looking totally hopeless, an offer comes in from a city called Medina, about 400 kilometers away. 2 of its big tribes had embraced Islam, and they invited the Prophet to come and be their leader. This was a lifeline, a ray of hope. But for his enemies in Mecca, this was a massive alarm bell. They realized he was about to slip through their fingers, and that triggered their final desperate plan, to eliminate him and his message for good. Now, this is where it gets really clever, and honestly, pretty ruthless. The plan was thought up by a man named Abu Jahl, and he knew Mecca's tribal system inside and out. See, if just one tribe killed the Prophet, his own powerful clan, the Banu Hashim, would be honor-bound to get revenge, and that would mean a massive civil war. So Abu Jahl's solution was diabolical. Get every tribe involved. One warrior from each clan would strike the Prophet at the very same time. That way, the Banu Hashim couldn't possibly fight all the tribes of Mecca at once. The murder could be carried out, and nobody could be blamed. So with a hit squad literally on the way, what happens next isn't just a trip. It's this high-stakes, Mission Impossible-style escape against all the odds. Imagine this, 11 warriors creeping up to the Prophet's house in the dead of night, waiting for dawn to make their move. They burst in, ready to strike, and they're completely stunned. Lying in the Prophet's bed isn't him at all. It's his young cousin Ali, who had courageously acted as a decoy, risking his own life to buy them precious, precious time. The Prophet and his closest companion, Abu Bakr, were already long gone. And here's the first really brilliant piece of counterintelligence. Everyone knew Medina was north of Mecca, so that was the obvious escape route. So what did they do? They went south, in the completely opposite direction towards Yemen, to throw anyone following them completely off the trail. The next morning, when the leaders of Mecca realized they've been outsmarted, they were absolutely furious. So they put out this massive bounty on their heads, 100 camels for each of them, dead or alive. Now, to put that into perspective for you, 100 camels today, we're talking a fortune, up to 20 million rupees. This wasn't just some reward, this was life-changing money. And just like that, every bounty hunter, every tracker, every opportunist in the entire region was suddenly on their trail. Okay, so those first few days were absolutely critical. After they slip out of Mecca that first night, they hide in this tiny cave on a mountain called Thor, just a few kilometers outside the city. They stayed there for 3 agonizing days and nights, while search parties were combing the hills all around them, sometimes getting terrifyingly close. It was only on day 4 that they felt it was safe enough to get moving again. And can you just imagine the tension of this moment? One of the search parties tracked them all the way to the mouth of the cave. They were standing right there at the entrance. Inside, the 2 men could hear their voices, probably see their feet. One cough, one wrong move, and the whole story would have ended right there. But miraculously, the men outside just decided there was no reason to look inside, turned around and left. And this right here, this moment, tells you everything about the Prophet's character. Think about it. You're in extreme danger. Every powerful person in your city wants you dead, and your main concern isn't just escape. He actually left his cousin Ali behind with a critical job to return all the valuables that people from Mecca, including some of his enemies, had left with him for safekeeping. His integrity was just non-negotiable, even with his life on the line. So after this incredibly dangerous 8-day journey through hidden paths, the whole mood just changes.
the tension finally breaks, and it's replaced by this triumphant arrival in Medina that would mark a brand new beginning for Islam and a new chapter for the world.
I mean, let's just rewind for a second. This whole thing began with him slipping out of his own hometown like a wanted fugitive in the middle of the night with a massive price on his head. And now, look at the arrival. He's not creeping into Medina. He's welcomed as the celebrated, long-awaited leader. The entire city comes out to greet him with songs and celebrations. It was a reception fit for a king.
And his very first move in the city, it was just a masterclass in smart, unifying leadership. See, every single family in Medina wanted the honor of hosting him, which could have easily caused all sorts of jealousy and arguments. So, to solve it diplomatically, he let his camel roam free and announced, "I'll stay wherever it stops." The camel eventually knelt down on a plot of land, which he then purchased. And right there, on that very spot, the whole community came together to build what would become the heart of their new society, the Prophet's Mosque. This whole journey has a name, the Hijrah. And you have to understand, this wasn't just some move from one city to another. It was the turning point in Islamic history. So much so that years later, when the early Muslims were creating their own calendar, they didn't choose the Prophet's birth or the first revelation. They chose this event as the beginning of year one. It was the moment Islam went from a persecuted belief to a real community, a state, and eventually a world-changing civilization. And that just leaves us with this one final, staggering thought. How is it possible that a single, secret journey made by two men against impossible odds could end up changing the destiny of billions of people and literally redrawing the map of the world? It just goes to show you, a single day really can change everything.